I've always wanted to make a video about Oliver Stone's JFK, but that movie has just... too much. Where to even begin with this mountain of informative and uninformative, structured and disorderly encyclopedic everything? Why? The editing. This apotheosis of intensified continuity is what I'd call the greatest use of the art of montage since the silent era. Creatively breaking every law, it slyly mixes archival footage with new material, it mixes color with black and white, 35mm with 16 and 8, and video. It's so intensified it's full of cases of non-continuity editing.
White is black, and black is white.
And so as not to tie my brain into a knot, I'll talk about one single simple, or as simple as this movie can have it, scene. Joe Pesci's first scene.
Thank you for coming.
But before moving on, let me clear the room of the elephant. Every single time I praise this masterpiece, the comment section gets a barrage of attacks against the film's dubious historical accuracy. Since this is a movie channel and not a history channel, I could take the classy exit and repeat Roger Ebert's fine words on the matter. But instead I'll use a famous quote from one of JFK's major players.
I don't care!
Now the scene, amazingly edited, as is the whole movie, by Pietro, Scalia and Joe Hutshing. An interrogation in 4 minutes and 24 seconds, made out of 81 shots, averaging 3.26 seconds per shot. Normal, but the number of shots might be debatable. What? No, I can count, it's just... you'll see.
It's a mystery wrapped in a riddle inside an enigma!
We start with some archive footage cropped for the movie's natural scope aspect ratio. The scene seems to be inside Kennedy's funeral, in real life. Cut to a TV. This is typical of the film, making it unclear whether a scene is real, imagined, or just illustrative. We continue seeing the funeral on TV, cuts inside the TV. That's why I say the total number of shots is debatable. The actual characters in the actual location of the scene, watching that footage, the news. Nice wide frame by the way, back to the TV, and once again the film is taken over by the archive footage, adapted for scope.
The major subject was Vietnam, a crisis that does not pause for bereavement. And from this meeting came affirmations that the United States would...
We're watching the news, but something odd happens. We get some brief, disorienting shots that definitely wouldn't have made it into a news broadcast. 4 confusing clips in a row.
Came affirmations that the...
lasting only 15, 8, 9, and 8 frames. And we're back to the ordinary footage. Even when we think we're watching some objective, real-life recordings, some unexpected additions in unusual angles may pop up. Because this movie is 2 things. It's about paranoia and paranoid.
continue its policy of aiding the new government.
We're out of the TV again. An off-screen sound announces the drama will start. Jim and Bill react, looking off-screen to the left. We're back to the laws of continuity editing. Lou announces that Ferrie is here.
David Ferrie.
Come on in, Dave. Thank you for coming.
You remember me, Mr. Garrison?
While Jim and Dave shake hands, there's an invisible cut hidden by motion and Costner's back. Now a close-up of Joe Pesci with his beautiful eyebrows and totally not a wig hair. Wider angle showing how hard it is to frame Joe alongside 6-footers. And showing more of the decor. Jim points to one of the pictures.
I'm a bit of a pilot myself, flew grasshoppers for the field artillery in the war.
As they sit, Dave asks a question.
You mind if I smoke, Mr. Garrison?
Answered by cutting to Bill smoking a cigar.
How could I?
So yes, it's a smoking room, and it's clear that Bill is attentively eyeing Dave. Now here's something interesting. In the screenplay, Jim's line, "How could I?" means that he is smoking himself. Bill isn't even in the scene, meaning Stone changed the staging, making this line nearly senseless, or not that much, everybody smoked, but the editing justifies it again by adding the fact that another character is already smoking.
How could I?
Now cut to Jim beginning the interrogation, and as soon as he mentions Kennedy, cut to Dave, checking the left where there's the TV. Cut to it, back to Dave nervously packing his cigarette. After he lights it, it's the first time we get a master shot. 1 minute and 35 seconds into the scene. A classical film would have shown it right at the start.
I never met anybody named Oswald. Anybody told you that has to be crazy.
Dave lies as deftly as a born truth teller about not knowing Oswald, while his eyes keep falling back on the TV. Cut to it. Dave lies again, checking his flanks. Cut to Lou watching from the left. The interrogation continues, and after another fib...
No, I never saw him before in my life.
Jim humors Dave while throwing a look at Bill, who doesn't really try to hide his disbelief.
Well, that must have been mistaken information we got then.
This being the district attorney's office, these two must have heard every bald-faced lie under the moon, and their complicit looks speak a lot.
Thanks for straightening it out for us.
Jim pretends he's done. Cut to Dave assuming he'll leave. A new phase in the scene as Jim goes back to his table asking Dave about his recent trip to Texas. And if you have a bullshit detector, please turn it off now, or it will break.
We were told that you took a trip to Texas shortly after the assassination on Friday.
Yeah, now that's true. I drove to Houston.
Brief pause to say that Joe Pesci's acting is so good. His restless head, his apprehension, his mouth, even the way he smokes seems jittery. Jim returns with a pipe and Dave says he took a 5-hour drive to the world-renowned ice skating rings of Houston.
What was so appealing about Houston?
I hadn't been there ice skating in many years, and I was with a couple of young friends, and we decided we wanted to go ice skating.
The editing itself doesn't believe him and cuts not to ice skating, but to a dark road. Maybe Houston? Lightning strikes. Back to Jim saying there was a violent thunderstorm. Maybe a bluff, I don't know. Another cutaway. Thunder and lightning. Maybe Jim's right and there was a storm. Back to Dave, who sits into an over-the-shoulder shot. The sound of the storm continues in the present. Cut to Lou sipping some skeptical coffee. I know some viewers are aching to comment about how the pipe is a strong inquisitive symbol due to its relation to Sherlock Holmes, the moons of Jupiter and whatnot, but don't forget, this isn't a pipe. Dave keeps weaving his outrageous story. A new cutaway to that road. Might be his car, who knows? Different shots in maybe 16mm of a barn? Crops?
We went to Houston, and Saturday night drove to Galveston, stayed over there.
These cutaways don't explain anything. They make his already confusing story even more confusing. Fans of theory might call it tonal montage. Shots to set the mood of mystery. Back to Jim, as you can faintly hear birds.
And then Sunday? And then Sunday?
Dave briefly touches his face as you do when you're nervous.
In the morning, we went goose hunting.
Dave can't stop lying about what he did with the boys.
You bag any geese on this trip?
I believe the boys got a couple.
So Jim throws a wild bluff.
But the boys told us they didn't get any.
Yeah, I totally already interrogated the boys, who may not even exist. And Costner makes a priceless face. Cut to Dave's anxious reaction. Like an innocent man, he puts down his still good-to-go cigarette.
Come to think of it, they're right.
Cut to that detail for emphasis. Dave keeps fibbing, helped by the sound design, though not by the editing.
We got out there where the geese were, and there were thousands of them all over the place. But you couldn't approach them. Well, why is a bunch of birds?
And Bill throws Jim a "can I book him now?" look. Perhaps having too much fun, Jim doubles down on his stone-cold bluff.
Your young friends also told us you had no weapons in the car, Dave.
Ah, those blabbermouth boys. By the way, the boys said that you should like the video and subscribe to the channel. They all did. It's better than ice skating. The boys also joined me on Patreon, and I got so many geese there. Do like the boys. Moving on, Dave's face recognizes his crew. He packs a new shaky cigarette and gives the performance of his life, believing he's put his fairy tale in order.
Yes, I remember now. I'm sorry, Mr. Garrison, I got confused. We got out near the geese, and only then did we realize we had forgotten our shotguns.
His audience, unfortunately, is a hard sell.
So of course, we didn't get any geese.
Jim stands up, inviting a new master shot. Close-ups again as things get dicey for our dear Dave.
But I'm gonna have to detain you for further questioning by the FBI.
Why, what's wrong?
Joe Pesci acts so well, I actually feel bad for him in this shot.
Further questioning by the FBI.
Why, what's wrong?
Dave, I find your story simply not believable.
He's taken away and asks the least suspicious question imaginable.
What part?
Back to Jim. Off-screen sound tells us the other three have left. Back to the TV. This famous archival moment gets the scope treatment. And we end on Jim watching. A textbook case of standard coverage. The reactions of Lou and Bill adding pressure on Dave and undermining his bogus narrative. But the unusual use of non-diegetic sound and strange cutaways build the eternal sense of paranoia and doubt that you find in the whole movie. hinting how Dave's ludicrous lies might be hiding something sinister, which we later find out they are.
It's funny games, man, funny games.
Done. That should keep my JFK video essay hunger off my back for a while. Thank you for watching.